So are you able to visible this presentation slide?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So the scenario is that many a times in application itself, application take same Amazon what we were discussing. Um, Amazon. Amazon is a one application. Within that application, several sub applications are present, or sub modules are present. uh, sales, sales, manufacturing, production, service, delivery, right? And returned item processing. So different set of sub departments or sub modules or sub functionalities exist with the Amazon. Now there is a connection between ordering from the customer, catch the order, ordering from the customer, from that customer ordering to the stock and management to the payment service to the delivery service, so delivery service to the deliver to the customer. So internally there is various communications which will happen for ordering a single item from the customer. For us, what we think, Amazon delivers the ship order item. That's it. As a user, they have created the abstract layer. Single layer is providing service. But Amazon is not a single layer service, it's a multi-layer service. See, in that cases, there is an communication is required between the peer entities which exist with the application. To do that, this message driven beans are used. See what message driven bean in this picture. Look into the diagram. Client here, client may be internal client, external client, and internal client. So when message is sent from the client, let's say let's say it's ordering the item, that it message it will receive at the container service, EJB container. That EJB container which will have the broker architecture. So broker is another term which is using here. It supports the core bar, common object request broker object to handle the message sent from the client. Container's job is to allocate the threads, new span of thread to process that request. You need see observe in this diagram there is a one-way communication here, dotted line that also. It means that these type of communications won't go outside the client, only it will return the executable command statements to the client. Executable means only delivering. Internally, several threads are involved to process the order which you are requested. It is external interface. Internally, so many submodules are communicating themselves by passing this message. So asynchronous messaging is a paradigm in which two or more applications communicate via a message describing a business event. Suppose this first box, second box, third box, let us say order shipping. Here invoice generation, another processing, stock management, whether how many quantities are present or not. Then payroll management, whether it is a type of mode of payment. So these internal threads, they themselves are communicating internally, asynchronously. So synchronously means after shipping the order processing unit, then the stock management, then payment. Sequentially, it may happen sometime. It may happen directly sometime. So if sufficient stock is present as user requested, the order shipping directly it may communicate to the payment rather than going through the stock. So asynchronous messaging communications happen in the business environment. To make it happen, you are required to create the message driven beans. See, in EJP 3.1 specification, it interacts with messaging system via the JCA, Java Connector Architecture. So version it is used is 1.6, which acts as an abstraction layer that enables any system to be adopted as a valid sender. Any system to be adopted as a valid sender. The message driven being in turn is a listener that consumes messages and may either handle them directly or delegate further processing to other EJB components. As I said, MDB you need to create to handle those messages sent from the client. Either client is internal client or the external to that your application. So sometimes the broker which is spawned by the container may handle the same request. Some other times there is a possibility of transferring the control, means delegating that request for further processing internally. So that will happen with the help of message driven bean interfaces. See, one common provider of asynchronous messaging is Java Messaging Services, that is JMS. So we have discussed and executed this program in the lab by creating the JMS type resource. JMS resource type is topic or queue. We have seen topic or queue, and MDB may be created to take action upon that event. So we have created an interface of MDB to consume the messages sent from the client and processed itself, or sometime it delegates that request to the some other server to handle the request sent by the client. See, you need to note that message driven being also stateless. So message driven bean is also stateless. What do you mean by stateless? Stateless is it does not maintain a single instance to process the client request. Means container, every client request container may or may not going to create sponsor a new thread. It means that the thread which is processed in the earlier request, the same thread may or may not process the second later request. So this is stateless, means state is not maintained for every independent request. Is it clear? That's about the message driven bean. Now let's look into the entity beans. So entity bean exactly which is similar to your JDBC concept, Java database connectivity concept. That concept was used to create a simple application. This entity Java bean concepts are used to create the complex database applications. So because entity beans is the replica of entity bean is the classes, it's a replica of the table which you have created in the database. This entity bean uses a persistent entity manager. So by looking into this diagram, analogy is while session beans are our verbs, entity beans are nouns. So we were called session beans as verbs, we can call entity beans are nouns. So because those entity beans exist in database, not anywhere in between, that entity bean exists in the database. Because your database table, fields, columns exist in database. whatever the database table exists. For example, we have seen in the lab program, we have created customer database or student database. That student database or customer or employee database which we have created, that employee database table is the replica in the plain old Java object. Poser is nothing but plain old Java object. Until unless when you can call it is an entity bean means when you are connecting your plain old Java object, that is class constructs to the entity manager with the help of EJB container, then it become entity bean. Otherwise, it is simply a Java class. The aim of this object view of resources stored within a RDBMS, relational database management system. So either database may be Oracle or the Informatica or the DB2 or the any other MySQL, etc. So any relational databases, those relational databases, it is going to create as it is going to create a mapping of those table in the Pojo. Pojo is going to be connected with the help of the entity manager. Okay. So the entity type is modeled as Pozo, plain old Java objects, and becomes a managed object only when it becomes managed object only when it is construct with the entity manager. So Java X extended version of Java persistent package, it recites the entity manager class. This entity manager class is going to connect your the old plain old Java object class file with the database. Means you can think of entity manager acts as a mapping of your class Java class file to the Java database. So now let us look into the Java persistent model. So Java persistent model, it is again the sister to the EJB specification 3.1. So it uses the Java JPA, Java persistent API. So the version it uses is 2.0. It was developed in JSR 317. You can find the article in this link. You can explore more about Java persistent model, the previous version of Java API. So EJBs may become equipped with the facilities defined by JPA such that modifying the properties of a managed object will be reflected automatically in the backing database. See, as we have seen in the lab, so I will show you that in the NetBeans, then it will be clear. Now I'm sharing the snippet code of entity bean. You will be able to understand clearly about the persistent model. See here, here an application called as customer enterprise. It uses the customer table. See, if you go with services, in the are you able to see this window, NetBean window? Are you able to visible? Answer. Any of one of you unmute and answer.
Yes,
NetBean
sir.
window. Yeah. Okay. So in the databases instance, you need to connect. Once it is connected, so it spawns the instance of the schema of that MySQL. In that, you will get the database tables folder. There you defined a customer table. So the customer table, which consists of CID, CNAME, CType, CAddress, and contact, these five fields. This customer table is the replica of the class Java class. See the what is table name? Customer. The replica of Java class is what is the class you defined? Customer. It exactly map the table name is map as a class name here. The table fields are mapping as a variables or member of that class, and the default methods which you are defining, like queries like select from customer, select from customer ID, find by CNAME, find by CType, etc. Those are pre-abstract defined methods, and in addition to that, you have a default customer default constructors, and the parameterized constructor also you are defining here. Along with that, this is a plain Java object. It's a plain Java, but when this Java object become a entity bean, when you are connecting that with the help of the customer facade. In the customer facade, you are defining the entity manager as an instance. Through the instance, you are connecting the customer. So where you created the object for the customer in the customer facade. You are created the customer object as C1. This C1 is persisting with the help of the persist method, which uses the entity manager EM, entity manager EM dot persist. Right, entity manager. Now your it is converting your now Pojo to entity Java bean class file. So if you do changes here, not here, it is changes in the customer facade local, that is going to reflected here. Suppose for example, if you change the method type, so if you are defining one more method called as public void adds. So if you define this, some statements, some logic, if you define, whatever you add the code here in the customer facade, so you are exposing this method to the business interface. See, the automatically those methods are going to be added as an interface for the customer facade. That is illustrating here in your presentation. Okay. See modifying the properties of a managed object will be reflected automatically in the backing database. So database, so in this way, this APA, JPA persistent model supports for you. Means you need not to modify the code when the application is up and running in real time. So it means you need not to stop the application and upload the application like that. So JPA of Java persistent model support that. Dynamically it updates the content onto the database. So in addition to support within EJB, JPA also can be used to work on standalone Java environment. You can even develop the standalone desktop applications using this JPA model also. Not only the client server model, also you can develop it for the standalone application, desktop like kind of applications. See, persistence is simply a higher level abstraction above Java database connectivity. JDBC meant for creating a simple database application, whereas the persistent model meant for a complex. So, but exactly JDBC persistent reflects the properties of the JDBC. This is meant for complexity. This is meant for a simple application. By exposing the database as objects to the developer, backing rows may be queried, loaded, updated, or removed. In JDBC, what and all we can do? We can do CRUD operations: create, update, delete, display, etc. The same operation you can perform on the persistent object. But whereas in JDBC, we need to explicitly create the statement objects, connection objects, establishing connection, etc., and so on, executing the statements, query statements. Here it is not required. Queries are built in. These abstraction is given in the position. Why the people are switching to the framework kind of application development? The reason is they need not to configure at the lower end. They can directly concentrate on their business logic rather than working on lower level configurations. So to avoid such lower level configurations and all, so people are switching to use the framework in their application development, because these are repeated. Query is nothing, database is there means obviously there is an insertion, there is an updation, there is an deletion, there is any addition of the fields or removing of the field. This is common operations. Rather than writing common operations every time, rather than that, the JPA provides the built-in supporting tool to work on, like what we have seen: find by ID, find by all, find by. So those are created implicitly. Means it eases the development work. Now let us look into the container services. We have seen now: message driven bean for asynchronous message communication among the peer entities within an application or application to the applications. So the message driven beans are stateless. It uses the Java messaging services queue or topic connections. And what we have seen, entity Java bean, it uses the JPA model, Java persistent API model. It imitates the JDBC concept, but instead of the direct, it is creating the abstract layer to the user to query the content, query the database content. So now, container services. Already we have seen several times the job of container. The job of container is providing the system level services like security services, dependency injection, concurrency, instance pooling and caching, transactions, timers, naming and object stores, interoperabilities, lifecycle callbacks, interceptors, and platform integration. So container services, container on behalf of the developer or the deployment agency, The container take care of the system level services. The following is are the listed services the container will take care. We will discuss what is dependency injection and so what is the other container service, etc., and so on in the next class. But as of now, we need to understand the container service. What application developer should write the rules of their business. What the application developer needs to concentrate, they needs to concentrate on what? Only rules of their business. What is the rule of the business, and means what is the core functionality of the business. Developers need to concentrate that. Otherwise, if they take the deviation, the business model may become different. Expected is different, and creating it will be different. So they need to concentrate on core functionalities of the businesses and leave the mechanics of reliable distributed systems to middleware providers. So these mechanisms will be taken care by container service. That's the role of container is that container will provide system level services like allocating resources, deallocating, garbage collection, avoiding deadlocks, avoiding the live locks, all those things that will be taken care. In the case of EJB, Enterprise Java Beans, the component model defines our interchangeable parts and the container services are specialists that perform work upon them. So interchangeable parts means what? Component model defines our interchangeable part. Means whatever you do the development of the components, those will be in a detached fashion. How what is that detached fashion means? You can reuse those components wherever it is required. Let us take the example: electrical switch. Electrical switch. That electrical switch can be used as a bulb switching, can be used to control the motors, can be used to control the fans, can be used to means that electrical switch is a customized switch. It is independent of the any other functionalities. So if you are creating a component modules approach, those components will be reused in a huge fashion rather than only one time use or two time use. So such kind of the things which will be exist with EJB, so many components are there in a detached manner, means decoupled manner, means less tightly coupled. So to provide the services, so container services are specialists in that providing those kind of interchangeable parts. Container service, what will they do? Container service provides the reusable components wherever, whichever the application needs, the application which it is registered with that container. Registration is most important here because deployment descriptor provides the registration capability of the applications to access the resources exist with the NGP container. Okay, so registration is most important. For example, Gunashekar is registered with the BMS ID MCA. He can ask, we can listen. Suppose take one person passing through BMS IT campus. He may ask, we may or may not respond because he is not registered with us. Getting it? In the same fashion, container services only listens the applications and components which it is registered with the container and application. So what specialization of container services provides? Dependency injection, concurrency, instance pooling or caching, transactions, security, timers, naming and object stores, interoperability, lifecycle callbacks, interceptors, and platform integration. So let us look one by one these container services in the next class. Okay? Is any doubt? Any doubt? Clear? So enter your reversion and name in the chat window or the attendance. Let's stop the session. Any questions from your side with respect to today's session? Are you following this one? Are you following the examples and content? What about others? Only one is responding. What about others? Okay, fine. We'll continue this dependency injection container services in the next class. Okay, thank you.